Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and I have a big-time injury update coming from Rivera himself with a virtual press conference today, man. A lot of updates. Some positive, some we're not sure, some negative, but overall a big positive update. And again, this is a big update. It's a lot of players. We're talking about Benjamin St-Juste. We're talking about Montez Sweat, James Smith-Williams, and Chase Young. We're talking about Samuel Cosmi, Jamin Davis, Antonio Gibson, Trai Turner, and Carson Wentz. And Rivera also talked about how the players return to practice this week after the bye week. You'll probably love to hear how he breaks that down as well. Sounds like the guys are ready for some Giants, man, I'm telling you. But yeah, man, we have a big injury update. We're mostly going to focus on Chase Young and Benjamin St-Juste, of course, because those are very important, along with Montez Sweat and James Smith-Williams. But again, we're going to go down the entire list and talk about everything, good or bad. But before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure you pull up every game day for my live play-by-play analysis live streams where I discuss everything going on during the game, every regular season game, and I'm speaking into existence every postseason game as well. So make sure you pull up every time the Commanders have a game, including this Sunday night 8:20 p.m. rematch against the Giants. Make sure you pull up to the channel for the live stream. Laugh and learn, and let's get it. All right, so most of y'all are probably here for Chase Young more than anything else, and the Chase Young news sounds very positive. The only problem I have is it sounded positive for the past few weeks, and then we always get to the day of, and it's like, oh, actually, nah, illness, or not as ready as we thought, and it's always something random. So the news has always been positive. Now, this does sound more positive and a little bit more specific, and Ron Rivera sounds very excited about the chance of Chase Young playing against the Giants, making his season debut since tearing his ACL in November of last year. He's been out for more than 12 months. So I think, based on Ron Rivera's quotes from today, that Chase Young does actually, for real this time, not for play, look like he'll play against the Giants. He said, quote, Chase has continued to progress. He did a lot of work these last few days and has some really good days and seems to be pretty confident. We'll see how he progresses, but he is trending in the right direction. Ron Rivera also said Chase has had a good few days. Last week, he did a lot of work, and then I saw him this morning, had a nice chance to talk to him. I think he's in a good place right now, and I think he should have one of those things where he progresses and ramps himself up into the weekend. I'm pretty excited for that, unquote. So there you go. It sounds very positive. It sounds very optimistic, but at the same time, we've been getting a lot of positive news from him for the past few weeks. So I just don't know whether or not to believe it with my heart this time. My brain is telling me don't believe it, but my heart is telling me, hey man, it sounds like Chase Young could make a debut against the Giants. Now, of course, he's going to be on pitch count. Even if he does play, even if he technically starts and is out there for snap one, I'm pretty sure James Smith-Williams, if he's okay to go, we got to talk about him and Montez Sweat soon, both dealing with concussions. Even if Chase Young is out there for snap one, ready to play and all of that, I think James Smith-Williams, as long as he's healthy enough to play, will probably still play more snaps. But I think Chase Young's explosion is going to be huge for us. I mean, our defense is great. It's been very suffocating. The secondary has been getting all the turnovers, though. And it would be nice, you know, if we got a strip sack master in there. And that's one thing that Chase Young, at the very least, does better than everybody else. I love Jonathan Allen, love Daron Payne, but Chase Young has the best knack for stripping the ball out of the quarterback's hands and forcing turnovers. That's just what he does. Just like Daron Payne is our best ball bat downer, whatever you want to call it, whatever the technical term for that is, whatever the football term is, it's just batting the ball down at the line of scrimmage. Daron Payne is easily the best of that out of anybody on this team. And then Chase Young also is a really good run stopper. That's what's really underrated about Montez Sweat and Chase Young as a duo. They're very explosive. They're freakish athletes. So the pass rush potential is definitely there. And we've seen at times Montez Sweat even dominate in this season. And we remember Chase Young from his rookie season having some dominant moments. But at the very least, the very floor of it all, Chase Young and Montez Sweat are dominant, you can dare say elite run stoppers and edge setters. So I'm really happy to have him back, even just for that. But then his explosion on top of that, his raw athleticism, the Giants aren't ready to block that. Love James Smith-Williams, Smith-Williams, but going from blocking James Smith-Williams 2 weeks ago to Chase Young the next week, even if it is in a limited fashion, it's still going to be a headache for them guys. And so also with Chase Young, the sooner he plays, the more confidence he gets going into the playoffs potentially and in the next season. The next regular season, the 2023 season. Because if he can go out there even just for a few games, I know there's the argument that we should just go ahead and sit him for the rest of the season, let him rest, don't even risk it. But if he can go out there and make a couple of plays here and there, impact the game, especially having like a game-changing play where he strip sacks like Daniel Jones, and then we end up winning the game because of it or something like that. If he takes that confidence into the playoffs or takes that confidence into next regular season, that's huge. And you can't even put a value on that. You can't put a price tag on that type of moment. The confidence that would build up in them inside, to be like, I still got it type of thing. Oh, I can explode off this knee. I'm good. I can still beat offensive tackles even if I'm not 100% type of thing. That level of confidence, you just literally can't put a price tag on that. So I would love to see him go out there and make a couple of plays. He may not play a lot, but I'm hoping the times that he does play, he's out there making a big impact, and he shows us why we drafted him number 2 overall in the draft. I'm really excited about Chase Young coming back, man. If Chase Young was from Atlanta, y'all wouldn't hear the end of it on my channel. Now, sticking with the defensive ends, like I alluded to a little bit earlier, defensive ends Montez Sweat and James Smith-Williams are both dealing with concussion injuries. But Ron Rivera said, quote, they're still in protocol. They've progressed to where they're going through the steps and they're progressing near the end of it. And as long as things continue in the right direction, we should have them back out to the practice field, hopefully by tomorrow or Thursday, unquote. So it sounds like we should expect to see Montez Sweat and James Smith-Williams out there against the Giants. And they should return to practice by tomorrow is a Wednesday or Thursday. And they should be good to go. So great news as far as Montez Sweat, James Smith-Williams, and Chase Young so far. As far as defensive ends go, all positive news. The Chase Young one, it's like, I don't know how much to believe it, but it sounds really positive. Definitely sounds like the most positive that I've heard Ron Rivera talk about Chase Young since he got hurt. So if there's ever a time to believe in the fact that Chase Young may actually play, this is the week out of any week the past few weeks, of course. But even on the Montez Sweat and James Smith-Williams side, both of them dealing with concussions, man, that bye week couldn't have come at a better time for us. I was complaining when the schedule came out about our bye week being so late, but honestly, it ended up being perfect timing, because if we had to play a team this past weekend, we would have probably been without Montez Sweat, James Smith-Williams, Benjamin St-Juste, Samuel Cosmi, maybe even Jamin Davis, Antonio Gibson, Trai Turner, and more than likely Chase Young as well, because we're still not even 100% sure that he's going to play against the Giants, let alone the previous weekend that just happened, week 14. So, man, we would have been out there with half a team. Our starting defensive ends would have been Casey Toohill and F.A. Obata, basically. So, man, that I don't think y'all understand how much that bye week just saved us, man. That was almost about to be an automatic L, man. Jamin Davis? I don't think y'all understand that Jamin Davis is literally our only reliable linebacker out there. With Cole Holcomb on IR, gone for the season. John Bostic is a mismatch problem for our defense every time. Offense is just going to scheme it up for them to run towards them and to throw passes by them. I mean, Brandon Cooks, you saw what he did to John Bostic. Nobody was surprised. That's just what happens to John Bostic. That's just what he does, in coverage especially. And then you have David Mayo that may play like 5 snaps in the game. Right now, Jamin Davis is our only reliable linebacker. And we've been struggling. Jack Del Rio's been having to be a mad scientist and a genius to make it work just around Jamin Davis being out there. Imagine our defense without Jamin Davis, what it would look like. John Bostic and David Mayo as your 2 starting linebackers is insane. I still feel like we need to go searching for some guy on the market right now, like an AJ Johnson or something. There's no reason that it's Jamin Davis, John Bostic.
Compare the names. Look, Max Biggervale, Jim Jones. That don't even add up.
Like, there's just no reason that that's where we're at right now. But again, we're a Jamin Davis injury away from John Bostic and David Mayo being our starting linebackers. I couldn't imagine. I don't care who we would have played. Even if we would have played the Texans again, I'm not even sure about that game going against them. With all of those guys out, no Montez Sweat, no Benjamin St. I can't even imagine. I mean, we couldn't stop Brandon Cooks until Benjamin St-Juste covered him, and that's when he forced that interception to Derek Forrest. But before then, he killed Kendall Fuller. Right after that, he killed John Bostic. man, I don't know what we would have looked like. No Antonio Gibson, love what Brian Robinson's doing, but Antonio Gibson still really matters. And I just, it would have been ugly. That's all I can say. So this bye week couldn't have come at a better time. Moving on, staying with the defense. Speaking of Benjamin St-Juste, Ron Rivera gives a positive update for him as well. He said, quote, "We'll see how he progresses. He had a good day of treatment and work today, so that was a huge plus from what I was told. We'll see how it goes, but he's progressing in the right direction as of today," unquote. So it's similar to the James Smith-Williams and Montez Sweat type of thing, where if things keep going how they are, he should be good to go. And that's really good to know, because Benjamin St-Juste not out there. We saw how the Giants were targeting Christian Holmes. That first big play to Darius Slayton, Christian Holmes had good coverage. He was there step for step. He just folded and wet the bed at the last second. He just wasn't ready for the moment. But that's what comes with not only rookies, but 7th round rookies. Not only 7th round rookies, but our second 7th round pick rookie. If we only had one 7th round pick like most teams normally do, we wouldn't even have Christian Holmes, because we took Chris Paul with our first 7th round pick. And then when we got to the second one, our final pick of the draft, we were like, well, Christian Holmes still there. Let's give him a chance. So, like, this guy was not expected to play at all. I mean, William Jackson getting traded. And then Benjamin St-Juste has stepped up big time, and Bobby McCain has played well in the slot. But like when Benjamin St-Juste got hurt, and Kendall Fuller was out there playing well, but I mean, Kendall Fuller can't cover everybody. And I mean, granted, Bobby McCain has played fairly well in the slot, and Danny Johnson stepped up big time for Christian Holmes after Christian Holmes got benched. But I mean, you can see that Jack Del Rio was like, man, I'm gonna give him another chance, because that Darius Slayton play was not really a fluke, but it was great coverage. I don't like the fact that people are acting like he wasn't there. He just wet the bed at the last second. He didn't know how to play the ball. Not great ball skills, kind of got tripped up. You could argue maybe it was a flag on Darius Slayton, but either way, Benjamin St-Juste doesn't let that happen. So getting Benjamin St-Juste back is huge. Love what Danny Johnson did stepping in for Christian Holmes, but he wasn't as good as Benjamin St-Juste, especially like in overtime. He was getting targeted after targeted after targeted, and none of the receptions were really big or anything. Nothing is nowhere near as bad as Christian Holmes, but it was still stuff that Benjamin St-Juste wouldn't allow. So getting him back is a huge boost for this defense. We need him. I mean, even with Benjamin St-Juste, I'm down to draft a top corner in the first round, like Joey Porter Jr. or Keely Ringo out of Georgia, or Buddy from Oregon. You know, I've started to watch a little bit of tape now, so I'm starting to catch up on all of the potential prospects that we can draft. I'm starting to get into my film and stuff. You saw the mock draft I put out a few days ago. I'm getting to it. I'm gonna come with more draft stuff very soon. Maybe some more mock drafts. Maybe might do a big board or something. Maybe like a positional big board, like my top 5 corners, top 5 running backs, top 5 quarterbacks. Let me know if you want me to do something like that. But it's gonna be really early and premature. I've only seen like a little bit of film on a lot of guys. But either way, getting Benjamin St-Juste back is a huge plus, and the fact that Ron Rivera sounds just as optimistic about Montez Sweat and James Smith-Williams as he does Benjamin St-Juste, that's a very, very big for us. Also noticed that Jonathan Allen is not even on the report, so that's positive news, because remember, it looked like he got banged up a little bit at the end of the Giants game. The fact that they're not even talking about him injury-wise sounds like he's 100% to go, so that's also really good news. Sticking with the defense, speaking of Jamin Davis like earlier, Ron Rivera said, quote, as far as his thumb injury, Jamin had a procedure on his thumb. He should be fine. I know he has an exam tomorrow to make sure everything went well with the procedure, unquote. And basically, he's expected to play against the Giants. So, Jamin Davis is good. We should be good. No need to panic. Jamin Davis sounds like he's straight to go. And then that pretty much covers the entire defense. Now, switching to the offense, you have tackle / guard, right guard Samuel Cosmi. Like I've already said, I've made my case why Samuel Cosmi could potentially be an all-pro right guard rather than a really good right tackle. He could be a game changer at guard, but I'm not going to go dive into that too much right now, but I think he could basically be a Brandon Sheriff clone. Either way, Ron Rivera said, quote, as far as his ankle sprain goes, he'll continue to get his treatment. We'll see how he is a little later today when we do our own walkthrough, and we'll see how he handles that tomorrow morning, unquote. So neither positive nor negative, kind of just like a we'll see type of thing. So I don't really expect Samuel Cosmi to play against the Giants, but it doesn't also sound like a negative thing to where we can assume he won't play. So right now we're kind of neutral on Samuel Cosmi. We'll see how that goes. Speaking of Samuel Cosmi, and we're going to talk about the offensive line soon after this, because now we got to figure out how we're going to shuffle this offensive line with Tyler Larson on IR, pretty much gone for season, and now you're left with Nick Martin at center, potentially Trai Turner, who we're about to talk about now, at right guard. Samuel Cosmi may miss the game, so you have Cornelius Lucas at right tackle, maybe Andrew Norwell left guard, and then of course Charles Leno at left tackle, and then maybe Chris Paul, Sadiq Charles is depth. We'll see. But moving on to guard Trai Turner, with his ankle and knee injury. Rivera said, quote, "This was good timing for a bye for him. He got a lot of rest and treatment on his leg, so he should be fine. We should see him out in the walkthrough today, and we'll see how he is tomorrow morning," unquote. So another positive update. They feel like Trai Turner should be good to go against the Giants and start at right guard for us, whether Samuel Cosmi is ready or not. If Trai Turner is healthy, I'm assuming Trai Turner will start at right guard and Samuel Cosmi will play at right tackle if he's healthy. I don't know, but this offensive line is really interesting because I'm not a big believer in Trai Turner anyway. Now, granted, you can argue he's been hobbled in some of the games where he was really bad in, but I don't know, man. Even fully healthy, I'm not too sure about Trai Turner, but we'll see. But it is good news to have as many healthy guys as possible. Again, with Tyler Larsen out, maybe Wes Schweitzer starts at center because I don't want Nick Martin starting at center. I really don't. So I prefer to try Wes Schweitzer over there. But at the end of the day, if there's an injury or whatever happens, Wes Schweitzer can step in at guard as well. Now, Wes Schweitzer didn't look particularly good against the Giants last week, but he's also returning from a long-term concussion injury. I mean, that was a few weeks dealing with a concussion, which is really strange. Kind of like a Benjamin St-Juste situation last year where he missed the most of last year with a concussion injury for like really long term. But either way, he's back, and maybe he'll be better after the bye week, getting some rest and recovering a little bit more going against the Giants in the rematch than he was in the initial game, the first game that we played a week and a half ago. But yeah, man, it looks like Trai Turner is probably going to end up starting at right guard. Ron Rivera and the guys are higher on him than a lot of us fans are, so we'll see how that goes. But again, you prefer to have as many healthy bodies as possible, even if it's a guy you don't think is that good. And then last on offense, you have Antonio Gibson with a foot injury. Ron Rivera said, quote, "Antonio will continue to get treatment with the foot issue. We'll monitor it," unquote. And that just doesn't sound too good. That's kind of like the same thing with Samuel Cosmi, where it's neither positive nor negative. There's no absolute, oh yeah, he's done, he won't play. But at the same time, the fact that he's not being as optimistic about those two guys as he is with Montez Sweat, James Smith-Williams, Benjamin St-Juste, Chase Young, and Jamin Davis does have me worried about Antonio Gibson, Samuel Cosmi's availability in this rematch against the Giants. Definitely very worried about those guys. I would say the ones I'm the most worried about are obviously Antonio Gibson and Samuel Cosmi. The ones I'm the most optimistic about are Benjamin St-Juste, Montez Sweat, and James Smith-Williams, and Jamin Davis. Now, granted, I feel like I should be really optimistic about Chase Young based on how Ron Rivera talked about him. But hey, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I will have to just see it when it comes to Chase Young. I'm sorry. Really great positive news, but I got to see it to believe it. I'm not gonna lie. And then moving on to Carson Wentz, Ron Rivera said, quote, "If everything should go accordingly, he'll be the primary backup for this game against the Giants, and we'll go from there," unquote. So it looks like Carson Wentz will be the starting backup behind Taylor Heinicke. I always like saying the starting backup because we make such a big deal of who even our backup quarterbacks are compared to other franchises where some casual fans may not even know who the backup quarterback is. But with us, it's always a QB controversy. The starter, the backup, even the third stringer with Samuel Cosmi at this point is a controversy. So I like saying Carson Wentz is the starting backup to Taylor Heinicke. But I just think this whole situation is interesting because are you activating them to the 53-man roster and making them the backup to pretty much have them ready to take over for Taylor Heinicke at some point, even if Taylor Heinicke doesn't get hurt? Do you have true confidence in Taylor Heinicke to basically give him the keys and say, hey, you are the quarterback? I haven't necessarily seen Ron Rivera come out and say that unless I missed it, especially since Carson Wentz has been activated off the 53-man roster the past couple of days. So I just think it's really interesting that they're still kind of like, we love you, Taylor Heinicke, but Carson Wentz is right here if you mess up. You know what I'm saying? We're giving you the chance to start, but we don't necessarily believe in you 100%. But they also, of course, don't believe in Carson Wentz 100% because they would have changed his contract around to take off some of the cap space that he's eating up this year rather than the way that we did it. And thank goodness we did it this way, where we eating up just a lot of cap space this year and then we can cut him for absolutely no dead cap going into the next offseason, which is a lot of money that we can spend on Daron Payne. $28 million worth of extra salary cap by cutting Carson Wentz, no dead cap at all, no strings attached. That's big time. And then moving on, just the last couple of things I want to talk about. Ron Rivera in his press conference said, quote, "This for us is a playoff atmosphere for the next 4 weeks, and 9 would be cool too," unquote. And man, I love that. I love that. Ron Rivera is not playing. He has his eyes on the Super Bowl. That's why he said these next 4 weeks as far as the regular season, but 9 weeks period, because they have their eyes on the Super Bowl.
Some of us have been looking forward to this day for a long, long time.
But also I like the fact that he's letting it be known like, hey, this is it, guys. Like, this Giants game is technically a playoff game. You lose this, you could pretty much just say goodbye to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? It would be really difficult for us to find a way to get into the playoffs after a loss to the Giants this upcoming weekend. So he's letting it be known to the fans, Make sure y'all pull up to the stadium like Jonathan Allen asked right after the Giants tie in the locker room, like literally immediately after the game. He was like, bruh, please pull up to the stadium, make this a playoff atmosphere. Let us have a home field advantage. Let us get some false starts from the Giants because y'all are so loud. Just like how Georgia was getting on Tennessee, where we caused like 7 false starts because of the crowd. I would love it if FedEx Field was just like that. And so Ron Rivera is also doing that for the fans, but also the players too, the coaches as well. Get it in their head, man. This is a must-win game. So I love that message. Also, Rivera said that players came back from the bye week energized and ready to lock in on the Giants. He said, quote, they've been really professional about it, unquote. I love that. So the players took their week off, chilled, spent time with their family, cool, you know what I'm saying? But they came back on a mission. They're not coming back sluggish. They're not coming back with not as much determination and focus as they're supposed to have. They are coming back apparently to practice with the Giants locked in. You know what I'm saying? I love that. Ron Rivera also said that the team gave them a little extra time off, which the players have handled well. Everyone showed up, quote, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, unquote, today. That's big time. So the fact that Ron Rivera has the trust from the players and has trust in the players to give them some extra time off more than they usually should get during a bye week, and the fact that they responded by coming in grateful that he gave them that time off and focused and like, hey man, we're not gonna let you down for giving us that extra time off. We really appreciate it, and we're gonna get straight to business when we get back. It was nice to have those days off, but once we're back on the practice field, we're locked in type of thing. So I love Ron Rivera's approach, and I love how the players responded. Absolutely love that from this team. Makes me really excited and optimistic about how we'll finish the season and go into the playoffs, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. And as always, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Definitely get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about all of these injury updates and Ron Rivera's message to the team that we just spoke about. And I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.